All right, music fans and truth seekers alike. Welcome. Harmless D here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking politics in this particular episode. So, alert, I should have some kind of a siren that goes off, maybe next time, but I just thought of it now. So, that way, it's not going to be music related stuff. But anyway, doing what I do in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. So, this is fascinating. Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning from Congress. I'm sure you've heard this already. And she's doing it, I think, because she's principled. Now, you may disagree with her. You may not like her. If you are so pro MAGA and pro Trump, that you think when someone says, hey, these numbers don't add up, right? We can't balance the budget if we're spending more money than we're taking in. Why are we still sending money to foreign countries? I mean, what happened to America first? Someone said the other day it shouldn't be America first. It should be America only. America only, which I think is far more descriptive than America first, because that implies, yeah, once we throw some money to the people that are supposed to get the money, we don't really take care of the poor in our country. And some people will say, well, it's because they put themselves in that position and it shouldn't be my responsibility. And I'm not this person's keeper, yada, yada. Okay, well, good luck with that, because I don't know. It's not flying because prices are still pretty high out here. I mean, some of the stuff has come down, but some of it is still out of control. I mean, go buy some ground beef right now or a decent steak, and it's ridiculous, like $17 for a piece of steak. You're getting close to, I might as well just go out and have dinner somewhere, because those prices, and they serve it to you and cook it and so forth. I mean, why bother? Why do the work? Maybe this is to help the restaurants recover a little more. I don't know. But anyway, let me get back to MTG, as some people like to call her. She announced on X last Friday that she will resign from Congress early next year after a weeks-long falling out with President Trump and much of her party. Now, we're finding out that Republicans aren't all that serious about doing stuff. Like, they talk a good game, and then, there's fine print, and you read the fine print and you realize that it's kind of like the game that's always been played, but maybe kind of tinkering around the edges a little bit, making it seem like we're doing so much more than we were doing before. This from CBS News, the hard right congresswoman. So are they implying that MTG is further to the right than Trump and most Republicans? I don't think that's true. I don't like these labels anymore because they don't work. Hard right is what? Not spending money on foreign countries? Is that hard right? I don't know what that is. It used to be common sense. That's why I always say I'm a member of the normal party, Normal Party USA, doing normal things, talking about normal issues. Anyway, I have a party platform. I haven't put it out there, but I might have to print out some brochures and start handing them out. Because, this definition, this two-party duopoly and how it all works, it's really frustrating. It doesn't hold up like it used to. In fact, you can argue that this whole thing is a giant psyop. It just is. You put people in categories, then they fight, and then everything goes to hell, and everybody's like, how did that happen? Why are prices so high? Why is there a $38 trillion debt? And Marjorie opposed all of this stuff, and now she's out. She definitely broke with Trump, because Trump called her a bunch of names, which is surprising because she did do a lot for Trump. He's done the same when it comes to like Thomas Massey and Ron DeSantis. You can go down the list of people he's called names. Ted Cruz. Some of those people deserved to be called names. Um, the media is spinning this that Marjorie wanted to get the Jeffrey Epstein stuff out there, and Trump didn't want to, but he did sign a bill which would release everything. And I'm not sure if that's already come out, but she put a lot of pressure. She's basically, everybody got there thinking, okay, we're going to get transparency on all this stuff. You know, we heard a lot about UFOs and stuff. We haven't heard much about UFOs lately, have we? All the Epstein stuff, what really happened to Epstein. And we were told, hey, there's really nothing to see here. Dan Bongino went on TV. No, it's just, yeah, he killed himself. Don't worry about it. Anyway, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Standing up for American women who have been, and I don't know if I want to say this on YouTube, but the word is RAPED, at age 14, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor. This is, I'm telling you, there is this, there's this wall. Hate to use the term, Trump loves walls, right? But there's this wall that some people are hitting. Like, yeah, I thought this was going to be something else than it's turning out to be. And we do this every 4 years. We vote for something, and then that something doesn't accomplish, doesn't do the stuff it says it's going to do. It may make some gains here or there to kind of placate some people or to convince some people that things are okay. But prices at the supermarket are not okay. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking a lot about that. She wasn't saying, hey, we should have government-run supermarkets. The inflation is out of control because the money isn't worth anything. And you've got a whole bunch of nations out there who are saying, you know what, that American dollar, yeah, this is what they're doing. They're just wiping their hands of it. Yeah, we don't really need that dollar anymore. And she goes on to say, I was threatened by the president of the United States, whom I fought for, saying her self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God. Good for her. See, how can you disagree with that? On Mr. Trump's threat to back a primary challenger in her deep red district. Now, some people are going to say, the super pro-Trumpers are going to say, well, she saw the writing on the wall. She wasn't going to beat a primary challenger that had the endorsement of Donald Trump in her state. I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Greene said, I have too much self-respect and dignity, love my family way too much, and do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will lose the midterms. Now, I have a feeling they are going to lose the midterms. The results for that last election in November in certain states, that wasn't good, folks. That wasn't good. And you may say, well, Trump wasn't on the ballot and people weren't paying attention and those were blue states, yada, yada. All right, well, this agenda is going to stall out if a bunch of people get in there who are just going to focus on impeachment and gumming up the works and false allegations and just day after day. The government is not working, if you haven't noticed. And I think MTG just wanted to get out. She was in the private sector. She ran a business. I guess she was really good at what she did. She figured she'd try to make a difference in Congress. Notice she doesn't want to be a career politician. Like most of these people who go in and they have no money or they're worth an average amount of money, they get out and they're multi-millionaires. And they have, 5 houses. Bernie Sanders has multiple houses, and he complains about the oligarchy. The oligarchy, he just, I don't know. Is he part of the oligarchy? Just, you got rich on the backs of taxpayers. How is that fighting for the working man? She goes on to say, it's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. Trump reacted to the news of Green's resignation on Saturday, saying it was because of plummeting poll numbers and not wanting to face a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement where she would have no chance of winning. Oh, boy. Anyway, I know one person's going to love this video who doesn't like Trump, who's always telling me, why do you like Trump? It's not that I like Trump. It's what do we have to choose from, right? We had this corpse who was in charge, who was, letting the entire South American continent come here. And now we're trying to get rid of some of those people, and you can't get rid of them because it's like pulling a wisdom tooth. It's very hard to do. Some of these people are legit. Some of them aren't. It's good that you shut it down. That is the best thing that happened. You shut it down. But you really need to reform the entire immigration system. And some people are looking at the way it's being done, and these people are thugs and they're doing horrible things, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a good answer for that. It would have been nice for this not to have happened. It did happen. So I'm somewhat sympathetic to law and order. If we can somehow get to the law and order part of it and not go to extremes, but we're going to extremes in some places. Goes on here to say, for some reason, primarily that I refuse to return her never-ending barrage of phone calls, Marjorie went bad. Nevertheless, this is Trump again. Nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for her service to our country. Okay, well, I guess because she's out, it's no longer a problem for him. In a way, she's doing him a favor, because if she had stayed and continued to be a thorn in his side, and if she did win re-election, I think she would be in a position, honestly, to run for even higher office, whether that be Senate or, I know some people would say MTG for president. No, I don't know. Probably not president. Her personality does rub people the wrong way at times, but I got to tell you, she stands for what she believes, and she's not going to be moved. She broke with the president and clashed with her party's top congressional leaders, drawing some praise from Democrats who once voted to take her committee assignments due to conspiratorial comments. Now, it's interesting how politics works, because it's like, we need to stop this person because they have an R next to their name, even though they might not have the same ideas as the other guy with the R next to their name. And this is why the whole party system is broken and doesn't work. And I've been saying this for, I don't know, since I was part of the Ron Paul revolution, which campaigned for liberty. I was one of those people walking around telling people about their rights and how the Constitution is supposed to work, and getting back to smaller government and the military-industrial complex, which is out of control. And I know Marjorie Taylor Greene and I agree on that stuff. If she ever came on this show, I'd be like, Marjorie, the military-industrial complex and foreign countries, right? She's going to just nod her head and say, yep. She knows. She's been on the inside. She has seen how this ugly, disgusting, putrid sausage is made, and she's had enough. And because she has her own opinions, she decides to break with Trump, and then, all hell breaks loose, because Trump is very influential and he can pull strings. He is the president, so he can do things. And he uses his microphone or his bullhorn to shout down any opposition, even if those people are, for the most part, really good. And when I say really good, meaning that they'll do much of what Trump wants them to do. But when the Epstein thing was hung up, and these other issues where, again, there's one certain country, maybe two, that we continue to send money to or support in certain ways. And that's not America first. Again, it should be America only, not America first. That's the way I see things right now. But you know what? Um, I think this is a good finish to this statement. She says, if I am cast aside by MAGA Inc. and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military industrial complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can't even relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. That's what she said when she resigned or announced her resignation. To me, that's everything right there. What she talked about, the neocons, the big pharma, the big tech. It seems as though everybody is making deals. Hey, we can just deal with Trump. We can, because he's a deal maker. He'll make a deal. He'll disagree with somebody, but then he'll come around and say, hey, I'll make a deal with you. You can still push your big pharma stuff, but you got to give, $1 million to this thing over here or whatever. And they make a deal. The whole thing, quite honestly, is very incestuous. It's very frustrating. And I don't think it works. I think a lot of people are just saying, you know what, I'm going to live my life. Voting is ridiculous. The fact that the money continues to lose value, though, is something that we really have to figure out as citizens so we can still have purchasing power and still get the things we need and not have to worry about what the government's going to do with that money. Some people go off the grid and they function and they do fine. Others have been in this system for so long that, they just don't know a way out. And they can't, at this stage, person of a certain age, like my age or maybe a little older or maybe even a little bit younger, it's like, really? I've been doing this my whole life, and now this doesn't really work, and it's all a scam. So anyway, those are just a few thoughts about the end of, this whole thing, which I think people are starting to wake up. And it's not about MAGA. It's not about whatever other thing, Democrat socialism or whatever. It's about just common sense things, normalcy. And we're not going to get back to normalcy unless we do some big things. And there's too much opposition, whether it's the courts, whether it's the other side because they don't get the victory. This is all just grinding to a halt. And I don't see an end in sight to this. I think it's just going to go back and forth like a tennis match. And right now it's a Republican volley. Next time around, it'll probably be a Democrat volley. By the time we get to the midterm elections, there's a really good chance that if the other side figures out that, hey, maybe we should start talking about people and their problems instead of all these weird cultural issues that they've continued to hammer. If they talk about people and their problems, they're going to win the House, they're going to win the Senate, and Trump will be, if he's not already a lame duck, he'll be a real lame duck by the end of next year. So anyway, folks, just a few thoughts. And that's it. So thanks for watching. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And again, I don't do political content every day, but the MTG thing was kind of a big deal, and I wanted to do some commentary on it. All right. So thanks again. God bless. I'll see you soon.